Are you ready back there?
Yes, the mics are on, and here we go.
All right. Okay, everybody, we'll call the meeting to order. So we'll start with a roll call. And everybody that's participating, that's a board member, if you could say your first and last name and that you're present. I'll start with, I'm Richard Haig, and I am here.
Michael Kelly, Vice Chair, I'm here.
Monte Soukup, here.
Chris Kollman, here.
Nancy Maloney here.
Dan Bourne, here.
Is that everybody?
Y'all were very civilized and nobody contacted me. That was amazing.
Okay. So the first thing on tonight's agenda is approving the minutes from the last meeting. And does anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes? We're all good? So if we could have a motion to accept the minutes as they are written.
I move we accept the minutes as written from the previous meeting in June.
Okay. And somebody second?
I can second that. It's Monte Soukup seconding.
Okay. All in favor? And we'll just go like we did roll call and get a vote that way. Richard Haig, I vote to accept.
Mike Kelly, yes.
Monte Soukup, yes.
Chris Kollman, yes.
Nancy Maloney, yes.
Dan Bourne, yes.
Okay. It passes 6-0, so those are accepted. And we're going to have Amanda go through instructions at this time.
Public comment.
Well, I should have done the instructions before,
Okay.
but we forgot. That's
Yep.
okay. Y'all did good, so. I'm just gonna go through kind of the formal portion here, as the instructions with this being Zoom. So, good evening, my name is Amanda Saheen. As Richard said, I'll be facilitating the Zoom portion of the meeting. I'm gonna go through some instructions. Meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel and public access channel 25. During the meeting, please mute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon found on the lower left-hand side of the Zoom menu next to the video icon. When you are muted, a red line will appear over the icon. Muting your microphone during the meeting will make it easier for everyone to hear. You'll just have to remember to unmute if and when you want to speak. In some cases, I may mute or unmute people as needed. Each time you speak, please remember to state your name and title for the benefit of those listening remotely. In the menu, you can also turn your camera on or off by clicking the video icon. For the purposes of this public meeting, please keep your video on during the meeting. If you're participating by phone, you can click *6 to unmute your phone. For those using Zoom, somewhere on your screen, you will see a choice to toggle between speaker and gallery view. Speaker view shows the active speaker. Gallery view tiles all the meeting participants. I also want to provide a few reminders to ensure provisions of Kansas Open Meeting Act are met. Board members, you must state your name and title each time you speak. All motions will need to be stated clearly. After a motion is made and seconded, the mayor will call on members individually to provide their vote. The mayor. You can tell I copied these. You're not the mayor, Richard.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay.
The chair. Chair, you will then need to announce whether the motion carried in the count of the vote. Several members of city staff are present via Zoom. So them and anybody else who's on, please state your name and title each time you speak. Members of the public are allowed to speak on agenda items or during general public comment when the chair says the time is appropriate for that. So, we can go to public comment.
Okay. So the next item, this is Richard Haig, Chair. The next item is to elect the Chair and Vice Chair to serve through next year. Public comment, I'm sorry. If there's any general public comment before we get started on elections.
I'm sure there's not. But
Okay, so we'll move to elections. And Amanda will brief us on who's shown interest in what positions.
Yeah, this is Amanda Saheen. I just wanted to go over kind of who has thrown their name out there, or maybe other people's names, for the chair and vice chair position. So I did get 4 emails, so I wanted to kind of go over those. Mike Kelly will support Richard to continue as chair. He's willing to serve as vice chair, or just serve as a member. Richard Haig is willing to serve as vice chair or chair. Chris Kollman is willing to serve as vice chair. And Clancy Maloney is willing to serve as vice chair only if Richard or somebody experienced will serve at least another year as chair. So those are the people who have shown interest to make it a little bit easier when you get to nominations. Do you want to let them introduce themselves?
Oh, yes. Sorry. We've talked about this just a little bit. For everybody involved, we are welcoming 2 new board members to this meeting, Chris Kollman and Clancy Maloney. And so if you two would like to introduce yourselves and kind of tell us a little bit about your background. I know a little bit about Chris's background, but I don't know much on Clancy, just what I've heard through the 99s and other people, which has all been really good and positive. So if you two could introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Shall I go first?
Sure.
Is that okay, Clancy? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris Kollman. I've been a resident of Lawrence starting in 2017. I moved here from a little town in western Kansas, Stockton, which is in Rooks County. And I worked for RCB Bank. I took the position of market president here and moved from Stockton to Lawrence. I'm not a pilot, but I am interested in aviation. I spent 9 years as the chairman of the Airport Commission out in Rooks County. In the early 2000s, we decided that the 2 city airports should merge together and create a county airport. So we ended up building a brand new airport out there. And Rick Bryant was involved with us and helped us with our opening day celebration. And we really appreciated all the help that he provided in getting us to that point. But that's kind of my background, and glad to be serving on the board and happy to do whatever I can do.
Thank you. Glad to have you here.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to know there's another Rooks County family involved. My husband grew up in Plainville, Chris. So, which is in Rooks County also. My husband and I both graduated from KU in the 70s, and we've been away for 45 years and moved back here to retire in 2015. I've been a pilot since about 1981 and accumulated a fair number of hours flying for the Forest Service and doing charter, as well as flight instructing. So I'm interested in keeping up with not only the local airport, because I finally got a hangar here for my ancient Baron, and I'm interested especially in the Air Race Classic if it comes this next year, and trying to do something about getting up a newsletter or something here with the local aviation community.
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate both of you volunteering to help.
Richard, this is Ron. It might be useful for the 2 new board members if everybody around would also introduce themselves, just so they know who everybody else is.
Okay. Well, I'll start. My name's Richard Haig. I've been a board member for about 11 years and got my pilot's license about 15 years ago. And I run a service station or business here in town, and just love to see the airport succeed and keep things going in a positive direction.
This is Mike Kelly, and I'm currently the vice chair. And my family hails from eastern Colorado, so not that far from Stockton and Plainville, Los Animas, Colorado. And I went to the Air Force Academy and served in the Air Force for 34 years, but I was not a pilot. But clearly being in the Air Force, you have to understand airplanes and airfields and things like that. So I have a background most relevant to this group in safety. And I retired from a job in the Pentagon and moved to Lawrence in 2009. So I've lived here 11 years now. And Amanda left out one part of my email. I said I'd be willing to defer if there's other candidates. So I don't want to split any votes for anything, but I'm happy to serve as vice chair, but I'm happy to be a member as well. So I just want to make that clear to everybody.
All right, I'm Monte Soukup. I'm with KU Endowment Association. I occupy the University of Kansas seat on the board. We have a seat because I believe KU Endowment essentially donated the largest part of the ground for the airport to the city. Then some was sold, and in doing that, they created a seat on this board to help manage that. And KU Endowment still manages or owns most of the ground around the airport that is being farmed. So, and then we also have then a hangar facility, and the KU plane is out there at the airport. So I'm just here to maintain that relationship. I'm not an aviator or pilot or anything. I'm a property guy. I manage the real estate portfolio for KU. I grew up in Hutchinson, by the way.
We got left.
So,
Yeah, my name's Dan Bourne, and I've been a board member for about 10 years. And like Richard, I got my pilot's license about 15 years ago. I've got a plane, an old Cardinal here at a hangar at the airport. And I'm just interested in aviation, haven't made a profession of it at all, but I'm interested in aviation, and I've been a Lawrence resident since I came to college here back in '74, and I was away for a number of years, and then came back in the '80s. So I've been around quite a while.
all right, thank you, Dan. Ron, do you want to introduce yourself, even though you're officially not a board member, but attend more meetings than most board members?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I've been around Lawrence since about 1979. I came to get my aerospace engineering degree at KU and kind of sort of never left. I've been involved in aviation virtually my whole professional life as an experimental engineer, experimental test pilot, business owner, and I've operated all kinds of airplanes. We operated the first jet airplane ever to operate out of the Lawrence Airport. We were doing a test program for Reflectone at that time. It happened to be a Hawker 800, which Lloyd now has, not the same serial number, but the same type of airplane. I currently rent space at the airport over on the west side. The Lifestar Air Ambulance operation subleases space in my hangar, and I also operate here. We manufacture parts for a number of different aviation companies. Mitsubishi is one, Commuter Air Technology down in Oklahoma is another, and we build a number of parts for those companies as well. My companies own 2 airplanes. We own a Piper Seneca, which we fly, that Lloyd is kept in Lloyd's hangar, and that's our transportation airplane, and also operate a Christian Eagle aerobatic airplane that I go up in fairly regularly. I call it my Keep Ron Wren's Alive pilot training tool. And I can tell you, because I fly that airplane, I'm alive twice. So that really does work. Welcome to the board, by the way, Clancy and Chris.
How about Lloyd?
Lloyd, do you want to introduce yourself?
No.
You're muted, Lloyd.
Is that better?
There you go. We can hear you.
Yeah. Lloyd Hetrick and with Hetrick Air Service. I was born and raised in Topeka and basically brought into aviation as a kid and soloed when I started flying at 15, soloed at 16, licensed 17 on Dad and my brother and I started a repair shop there at Billard over at Topeka. And then in I guess it was 83, I came over here to Lawrence and started a branch of our operation and been here since. And then in 2003, we split the company and my brother runs the shop over at Topeka and I've got Lawrence. So been here in Lawrence since '83 and worked closely with the city all those years. So, yeah, welcome aboard, everybody.
Thank you, Lloyd. Okay, one thing that Monte did say, this is Richard Haig, Chair, is he was talking about the KU endowment, and where the terminal building is now, there was a ground lease or ground swap agreement with the city of Lawrence, and part of that agreement was that the KU would have a seat on the board to represent their interests at the airport. And they do own the hangars on the west side of the airport as well as a lot of ground around the airport. So having KU's interests at the airport represented is very key to the city and key to KU. So it helps everybody work together and keep the airport going. So that's where the land swap came in years ago, and it's worked out really well for everybody so far. So, well, let's move forward with nominations and elections, and we'll keep things moving.
Take nominations.
So we'll take nominations at this time.
This is Mike Kelly, Vice Chair, and I nominate Richard to be chairman for another term.
Yes, Dan.
Nancy Maloney.
I think they're all just agreeing. correct?
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
this is Dan Bourne. I'd like to nominate Mike for the vice chairmanship again.
You can nominate somebody.
what's that?
You can
This is
nominate.
Mike Kelly. I think we need a second on the chairman and a second on the
You want to nominate?
other nomination.
What's that?
I don't know if there's any other nominations.
You can nominate him.
I second Richard's nomination for chair. Clancy Maloney.
This is Monte Soukup. I would second Mike Kelly's nomination as vice chair.
Any other nominations that want to be presented? This is Richard Haig, Chair. Well, since there's only one seat for each one, let's have a vote if people agree with the nominations as they are presented. So we'll take a roll call vote of each person. Richard Haig. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this is Mike Kelly, Vice Chair, and I vote yes for Richard, and I abstain on my own vote.
This is Monte Soukup, KU. I vote yes for Richard and yes on Mike Kelly.
This is Chris Kollman. I vote yes on Richard Haig and yes on Mike Kelly.
This is Clancy Maloney. I vote yes on both.
This is Dan Bourne, and I vote for the slate. Yes on both.
So with all the votes in, that would be a 6-0. So I will continue as chair for one more year, and Mike Kelly will be vice chair. So next on the agenda items, update on the schedule and communications for the runway rehabilitation project. So we'll leave that to Amanda.
This is Amanda Saheen, Engineering Program Manager with the city and airport manager. I just wanted to give everybody kind of an update as we're getting closer to starting this project. One, I wanted to talk about some communications that we've put out, which some of you, like Ron and Lloyd, should have received as tenants at the airport. Our public information officer, Josh Carson, sent out an email to all the tenants on July 13th advising them that construction would be beginning August 3rd. Since then, we've shifted the schedule a little bit, which I'll talk about here in a second. So we will send out an update to that, letting them know of the projected start date now. We advised everyone that we're going to have updates on the airport website. So Rick will be submitting photos as we go along to Josh to put on the website. And we'll try to keep the website updated as far as kind of the schedule and how things are going out there. That way everyone can check in on that and have a place that they can see what's going on. We'll also make sure that we send kind of a blast follow-up email as we approach the 119 closure, and we get more firm on that date so that everybody's kind of aware when that's happening. I think we've got at this point everyone's email address, correct, Rick? I'm sorry. Did we get everybody's contact form back? Every tenant?
Yes.
I think so, okay.
Yes.
So we have now, Rick has worked on getting contact forms for every tenant at the airport. I think we finally have received everything back. So we've got email addresses for every tenant at the airport, so that's how we intend to kind of communicate with people between that and the website. On the schedule on the project, Bettis is currently working on another project. They're the contractor out there. We did, and let me first say that on Tuesday night, City Commission did approve the grant, accepted the grant, and approved the award of the construction contract to Bettis. I believe city manager signed the grant today, and I think it's sitting in the city attorney's email inbox for her to sign it before it's officially accepted with the FAA, which that should happen tomorrow. So that's good. The Bettis is working on another project right now, finishing it up. Obviously, we've had some rain recently, so they're a little delayed on that. We've also got a little hiccup with the form with the FAA that we're working through, ADG's working through. We're hopeful, but a little, we're keeping an eye on the approval of that form through the FAA. We're hopeful that it will not delay anything, but there is that small chance that it may, because the FAA takes a while to do a lot of things, which I understand. They're a big organization, and they have like 200 of these grants, I think, in Central Region alone going on right now. So it's pretty busy. So we, I know ADG's talking to people, trying to kind of keep that moving as much as possible. So we're looking at an August 17th date at this point. Like I said, we're cautiously optimistic that that date will work for everybody. And just a heads up, do not write this down in ink by any means, but it looks like approximately 3 weeks after the start is when 119 would close. Now, that's dependent on weather and any other unforeseens out there, so that could delay, but I wanted to give people a heads up that that's likely looking around the Labor Day holiday sometime, and we'll try to keep everybody updated as it gets closer, but that's kind of the projection at this point. I think that's what I have on the update. Rick, is there anything you would like to add?
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is Rick Bryant. A couple things. We will work with Lloyd to issue NOTAMs, and essentially beginning about 5 a.m. on Monday morning the 17th, 1533 will be shut down. We will turn off the runway and taxiway lights, so there'll be no night operations, no night illumination, and our Denver office at ADG will coordinate with the FAA to shut down the ILS and the localizer. So there will be no opportunities for anybody to shoot approaches and just fly over. We want them completely out of the airspace until the project is over. We have, for many of you long-timers, we have 2 natural gas transmission lines buried underneath the pavement, and we have been in regular communications with these people, and flags are being staked out there. So if you happen to be out there in the next 2 to 3 weeks and see some flags, please don't be nervous and please don't remove them. These are high pressure gas lines that move product coast to coast, and we've got 2 of them underneath, but they are of sufficient depth that this project is only going down 12 inches deep as we reclaim the old asphalt and put in the recycled asphalt and then a small amount of virgin material on top of it. So we won't be in any danger of puncturing those lines. But there are some other utilities. AT&T has a line in rural water districts. So things we haven't had any problems with in the past. We have good relationships with all these organizations, so we've been in touch. And, Bettis is quite eager to get started and chew up that asphalt and make that runway look beautiful.
This is Chairman Richard Haig. Rick, I do have one question. You said there will be no night ops. Does that include 1 and 19? There will not be any runway lights for that runway also?
Mr. Chair, the lights for 119 will be operative, so there will be night operations until the point we reach in closing down the intersection.
Okay.
And then everything will go black. And then that'll be reflected in the NOTAMs as well.
Thank you.
This is Mike Kelly, and I have a question for Amanda and perhaps others. We just heard an explanation that we're not going to go very deep, and we have 2 gas lines, AT&T, and water. So we have at least 4 potential problems. Do we know what the vertical clearance is on those? Are they like 12 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet? And how confident are we of those vertical clearances?
Well, Mike, this is Rick. We've been through this process before out there at the airport on 1533 and 119 at the intersection. I can assure you that the depth is well outside of the 12 inches that we are going to go down on this asphalt reclaiming. We're talking feet. So it's nothing that any of these vendors are concerned about.
This is Mike Kelly again. Amanda, you're the professional engineer from the government here. Are you comfortable with Rick's assertions there?
This is Amanda Saheen. Yeah, I mean, they've been in contact. All the utilities have reviewed the plans and have not brought up any concerns to us. I do know the gas companies usually like to be out there still during construction just in case, but I think Rick made a comment that they came out to check it, the depth, one of the Southern Star, yep. And that they stopped looking at 5 feet deep and didn't find it. So it's quite a bit deeper than we're going. So I think we should be okay. I mean, we really rely on these utility companies to tell us if they see an issue, and we haven't heard that they're concerned at all.
Mike, this is Rick again.
Mike Kelly, thanks for that, Amanda.
Mike, just as point of reference, 3 years ago when we did the wildlife fence, we dug post holes that were about 5 feet deep, and we had to traverse both of these pipelines and the water line and the AT&T line, and we had already had everything located, and because of our working relationship with these vendors for years, we had no issues, not even close to disrupting any service going through.
This is Mike Kelly. Thanks for that, Rick.
Okay, we can move on. This is Richard Haig, Chair, and we can move on to the update on airport development opportunities that we have coming in. And I'd also like to see Don Kinney's and Larry Kellogg have both joined us, so welcome them to this meeting.
Hi. This is Ron Renz. Just before we move on to the next topic, I know I keep asking this question, but it is important. Are there any special safety precautions or safety issues that I need to make sure that Lifestar is aware of, Rick? And is the contractor aware that the helicopter and how it operates? Should we do a briefing with the contractor and Lifestar when we get close to the launch date, just so they're both aware of each other's operations?
Man, you want to answer that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You were on the
Ron, this is Rick. We had a pre-construction meeting yesterday via Zoom with all the project partners, and so safety protocols are in place. The safety plan's been written. We are also planning to have, if the August 17th date holds firm as the start date, we are looking to bring the Bettis team out onto the field on Friday the 14th. and myself and our lead construction inspector will walk them through the haul routes and go over the terrain, if you will, kind of like the umpire does with the baseball managers for a ball game. And, you know, the great thing about Lifestar and Eurotech being helicopter operators is they go straight up and down. And, well, okay, yeah, okay. Well, I've seen Adrian fly. Okay, so, you know, in theory, okay, let me back this up. In theory, they go straight up and down, but they will not traverse 1533 at such a low level that it's going to impact anything. And other than the few opportunities where there may be a crane on site to handle the replacement of the drainage tubes that are going underneath, that crane is only going to be about 100 feet. It'll be flagged. It'll have an obstruction light, and there'll be NOTAMs posted. So, I mean, safety is always first priority on everything we do, and I do not want to have to write up a report to Central Region on why we didn't follow through on our safety stuff. So
I agree, and I thought that was the case, Rick. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing that I should be telling Lifestar. It sounds like there's not. Obviously, when you close 119, that's a different issue because they air taxi, they hover taxi over to 119 and then use the departure end of runway 1 for their launch point. And so when it comes to the 119 project, we'll probably need to do a real safety briefing with the construction crew and Lifestar, because Lifestar will have to change their operations, and we'll just need to think about that. So we'll probably need, you know, a week or so ahead of time from that date to make sure that both parties are properly briefed.
I agree. And also keep in mind that we're only talking about the intersection of 119 with 1533. So
that's right.
They will have.
I forgot about that.
They will have, you know, give or take, a couple thousand feet, you know, of that runway that they can use as a hover point. But you know, I agree. We will cover that when the time gets closer, and I'll put it on my things to do list under Ron Renz.
Yeah, no, good. Thanks for that, Rick. This is Ron again. No, I had totally lost sight. We're only doing the intersection of 119, but I get that. So thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, this is no different than what we did, you know, 17 years ago, back when you had black hair.
I guess it was that long ago, wasn't it?
All right. Any other comments before we move forward? This is Richard Haig, Chair. Okay. We'll go to the update on opportunity of business development at the airport.
This is Amanda Saheen, Engineering Program Manager and Airport Manager. I just want to give everybody an update on a couple things. Everybody's kind of aware we talked about the Hetrick Hangar 2 at the last meeting. Still kind of in progress there, an FAA review. Not a lot, I guess, to report. We have had a meeting about it and kind of talked to the entire team as far as the engineer and Lloyd and everybody. So I think everybody's on the same page with things are moving forward, but there's not any big changes to report. One other item, we have some interest from another business about locating out at the airport, and that is Versa Air. They're currently in Manhattan, Kansas. They do agricultural spraying via a helicopter currently, looking at getting fixed wing soon. So they are relocating. The man who owns the business, his wife is a doctor and is relocating to Kansas City. So looking to get closer to Kansas City area. So reached out to us here at Lawrence and thinks it's a perfect place for his business. So we're having some kind of initial conversations. There's likely going to be some temporary accommodations that we kind of help them work out with finding a place for their equipment in the short term while they work through a process of getting construction documents to construct a hangar out there. But they're looking at a 6,000 to 10,000 square foot hangar potentially. So we'll see where things go with that. I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that as early as next month, you might see them at the airport kind of in some temporary accommodations. They, I think at this point, only have one helicopter and a couple of trucks. It's not a ton of equipment right now, but you may see them around. We'll definitely let you guys know when things are finalized, but is there anything you want to add to that, Rick?
No, you did it good.
Okay.
Did good.
Any questions on that?
Amanda, this is Mike Kelly, Vice Chair. When I hear ag chemicals, I'm thinking volume of storage and fluid transfer operations. And does the fire department need to get involved in reviewing what their plan is to make sure that we have adequate fire response should there be some sort of incident? And perhaps that's all going to be in the engineering details that we haven't decided on yet, but if you can give me any kind of heads up on what the thoughts are about those issues.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Rick here because he's been working with James, the business owner, and talking through some things. I think a lot of that will come as they look at a permanent location out there. I think right now he's doing pretty much just-in-time delivery of chemicals, but
Mike, this is Rick. The Kansas Department of Agriculture has very set finite rules on the handling of fertilizer and insecticide application materials, and this will be incorporated into the building plan of the permanent hangar. In many cases, community airports such as Lawrence and smaller places where ag operators come to work, there is a concrete pad with a hose and a drain to it that the operators are obligated to land and taxi over to and do their loading and unloading and cleaning of the aircraft so that it goes into that pit and is taken care of so that the chemicals do not disperse into the groundwater. When you have a hangar such as what they're looking to build, they will incorporate those elements into that. At this moment, any discussion of bringing fire in is really premature, but the Department of Ag is very clear. And back in the day when I spent 5 years at KDHE, KDHE used to control that element of ag spraying and material handling and stuff. So I have a little bit of background, with that. But you can rest assured that this company is very compliant and environmentally aware, and we're not going to do anything to jeopardize this new hangar for themselves nor the airport environment as a whole.
This is Richard Haig, Chair. One thing I'd like to add, Mike, is about 3 years ago, we worked with Douglas County Emergency Management and did both a tabletop and a live exercise simulating the exact scenario of an aircraft actually hitting an ag truck or spreading a pesticide or herbicide along for contamination of both victims and the ground. And we had I think 50 agencies involved with it. It was part with KU, involving KU personnel and Bert Nash. It was a pretty intense and pretty inclusive study. So the procedures as far as an ag accident like that at the airport are already in place with Douglas County Emergency Management and the fire department.
Richard and Rick, thank you for that. This is Mike Kelly again. I'd just like to hear from Lloyd if he has any concerns about ag chemical operations as far as what he has to do as the FBO.
We've had several in here just temporary to come in for 2 or 3 days and spray and stuff, and we haven't had any issues with them. But they're not on a permanent basis. They don't store their stuff here. They just bring a semi in or a truck and run it in and out through the day. So yeah, the concern would be the chemicals again. But I'm sure they'll follow with all the rules. I don't have any concerns. The helicopter operation, I'm not sure if they're gonna. We just need to make sure they maintain their distance from other aircrafts and stuff, which we'll be able to control that as well. So no, it should work. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Mike again. Thanks to everyone for the comments on that. I had some background in the Department of Defense and getting rid of chemical munitions, and that's hard.
I'd like to say that 5 years is a long time since a training regimen was run. And perhaps one of the things we ought to consider is an annual, if these people do come in with their equipment, it might be a good idea to have a regular fire department and whoever else training program in place.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to a FBO report. Lloyd?
Well, yeah, Lloyd Hetrick again. I think other than we're just on hold waiting for this COVID to open up a little bit more. Our aircraft, the two Keeners and the Hawker have started picking up and travel with the owners. They're able to get out and start doing some of their business like they've done prior to that. They're still limited on some of the locations they're going, but if it wasn't for those three aircraft flying, we'd be pretty bad shape. But we're slowly seeing a few in. We had a couple of business jets in just this week, so a lot of people we don't start shutting down again like we did. I think hopefully we'll see some improvement. The university obviously plays a big role on this right now too, with it being shut down. Outside of that, I think I hate to report anything on the 135 again. I just we're at the mercy of TCA or not TCA. I'm sorry, the security folks. We did our testing last week with them. They came on site, looked at our operations. So we're just, again, I'd like to think we're within a week or two, but that's the only thing holding us on the 135 for the larger aircraft, the Keen Air that we've added. Hangar number 2, I guess, is like Amanda said, I think we're got everything figured out on the site plan. I think the FAA has a few little questions on the building permit or the building portion of it. But other than that, I think we're just on hold with the city trying to work out the arrangements on getting access to it from the terminal or from the ramp area. So it's kind of on hold right now, but hopefully progress, and we'd love to get it up and going before winter. But other than that, I think everything else is about as expected, considering everything.
This is Richard Haig, Chair. Thank you, Lloyd. Does anybody else have any business to discuss this evening? So, if not, our next scheduled meeting is for October 15th. Fingers crossed that.
Yeah, this is Amanda
still be
Saheen.
Zoom.
We'll see. They're not scheduling meetings in this room that far out, so it's hard for me to say whether that date's going to work or not. It seems Thursday nights, there's a lot of conflicts, so hopefully we can find one. I know that's the typical night. As it gets like right now, they're just looking at September meetings, so it's going to be, in September sometime they'll start looking at October meetings. So we'll kind of see what the procedures are at that point. I honestly, with how things are going, don't anticipate it changing from Zoom. So we will likely still need to be in this room. So we'll need to see if that date's going to work as it gets closer. We'll hold it as a placeholder for now, if you're good with that.
So tentatively, we'll say October 15th, and we'll just see how the dates go.
I'll email
And-
the board as we get closer.
So maybe we can bump the Tuesday night meeting and we just take over Tuesday.
We don't want to go till 1 a.m.
There you go. All righty. Well, with that, we've covered our agenda items for this evening, and I move that we adjourn this meeting.
This is Mike Kelly. If we need a motion to adjourn, I so move.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Richard Haig, Chair. I'm in favor.
Mike Kelly, Vice Chair, aye.
Monte, Soukup, aye.
Chris Kollman, aye.
Nancy Maloney, aye.
Dan Bourne, aye.
So it passes 6-0 and meeting is adjourned.